Forward. Why small habits matter more than motivation. When people dream of changing their lives, they often imagine grand transformations. Losing 20 kilograms, starting a new career, running a marathon, writing a book. They picture a moment of breakthrough powered by determination and motivation. But here lies the problem. Motivation is fleeting. It rises like a wave, but it also crashes. It cannot be relied upon as the engine of long-term change. What sustains real change is not bursts of motivation, but the quiet rhythm of small habits. Tiny actions, repeated consistently, shape identity, rewire the brain, and compound into extraordinary results. The myth of big change. Our culture glorifies dramatic turnarounds, the before and after photos, the overnight success stories. But the truth is rarely glamorous. Change is rarely instant. Big results come from small, invisible steps repeated day after day. One push-up becomes 10. One page read becomes a finished book. One moment of mindfulness becomes a calmer, steadier life. Why small habits work? Small habits succeed because they bypass the resistance of the mind. Large goals often intimidate us into procrastination, but a small step feels doable. The brain, wired for efficiency, rewards completion with dopamine, reinforcing the cycle. Over time, small actions build momentum, identity, and eventually, transformation. Small habits are sustainable. They fit into real life. Small habits are flexible. They adapt when circumstances change. Small habits are powerful. They build resilience and confidence with every repetition. More than discipline, this book is not about willpower alone. It is about design, structuring your environment, your cues, and your mindset so that small habits naturally take root. It is about identity, becoming the type of person who lives the change, not just dreams about it. And it is about patience, trusting that progress, though invisible at first, compounds into transformation. An invitation. This book is for anyone who feels stuck, overwhelmed, or skeptical that lasting change is possible. It is for those tired of chasing motivation and ready to build habits that endure. You will not find promises of quick fixes here. Instead, you will find something more powerful. The quiet truth that small habits, when practiced daily, change everything. So as you turn these pages, let this be your mindset. You don't have to overhaul your life in a day. You only need to begin, small, steady, and consistent. The rest will follow. Introduction. The power of tiny steps. Every great journey begins not with a giant leap, but with a single step. It sounds simple, almost cliché, yet most of us still believe that change requires dramatic action, that only massive effort can produce meaningful results. And so we set lofty goals, burn with motivation for a few days, then collapse back into old patterns when life's distractions inevitably overwhelm us. But there is another way, the way of small habits. Why big goals fail? Think of the last time you set a New Year's resolution. Perhaps it was to wake up at 5 a.m. every day, to exercise an hour daily, or to read 50 books in a year. For a week, maybe 2, the momentum carried you. Then came the skipped workout, the late morning, the unopened book. Soon, guilt replaced enthusiasm, and the resolution quietly faded. The truth is not that you lacked discipline, but that your strategy was flawed. Big change is too heavy to lift all at once. Our brains resist sudden, drastic shifts, defaulting back to familiar patterns. The genius of small habits. Small habits succeed where big goals fail because they are manageable, repeatable, and compounding. Doing one push-up a day is too small to fail. Writing one sentence feels easy, even on the busiest day. Meditating for 1 minute is not overwhelming, but it keeps the practice alive. These tiny actions matter because of two principles. 1. Identity shaping. Every small habit is a vote for the kind of person you want to become. One push-up says, "I am someone who exercises." One page read says, "I am a reader." One act of kindness says, "I am compassionate." Over time, these votes add up to a new identity. 2. The compound effect. Just as money grows with compound interest, habits grow with compound action. Tiny steps, repeated daily, accumulate into massive results. What feels invisible today becomes undeniable tomorrow. The real power of habits free us from relying on willpower. Instead of waking up every morning debating whether to exercise, you simply do it because it has become part of who you are. Instead of struggling to remember gratitude, your mind automatically looks for things to appreciate. Habits automate success. This book is about more than productivity or self-improvement. It is about transformation. Becoming the person you are capable of being through the discipline of small, consistent actions. What you will find in this book. Part 1 explores the nature of habits, how they form, why small ones matter, and how they reshape identity. Part 2 shows how to build better habits, starting small, using triggers, designing environments, and breaking destructive cycles. Part 3 applies habits to every area of life: health, focus, resilience, and legacy. An invitation to begin small. As you read, remember this: you don't need to change everything at once. In fact, you shouldn't. Start with one habit, one step, one change so small it feels almost trivial. Then repeat it tomorrow and the next day. Because in the end, it is not the size of the step that changes your life. It is the consistency of taking it. Chapter 1. The Science of Habits. How the brain builds automatic behaviors. Habits are the invisible architecture of daily life. More than 40% of our actions each day are not conscious choices, but habits. Behaviors repeated so often that the brain automates them. Understanding the science of habits gives us the power to reshape them and ultimately reshape our lives. The brain's shortcut system. The brain is designed for efficiency. Every decision costs energy, and the brain, ever conserving, looks for shortcuts. Habits are those shortcuts. When a behavior is repeated in a consistent context, the brain creates neural pathways that make the action automatic. This process relies heavily on a small structure in the brain called the basal ganglia. It is the autopilot center, responsible for routine behaviors. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, the part that handles decision-making, can rest while habits run in the background. This is why you can drive home while lost in thought, or brush your teeth without conscious effort. Habits free the mind to focus on other things. The habit loop, Charles Duhigg in The Power of Habit, describes habits as a three-part loop. 1. Cue, trigger, a signal that initiates the behavior. E.g., waking up, seeing a toothbrush, hearing a phone notification. 2. Routine, behavior, the action itself. E.g., brushing teeth, checking phone, making coffee. 3. Reward, the benefit or relief the brain receives. e.g., fresh breath, satisfaction, dopamine hit. Over time, the brain links the cue to the reward, and the routine becomes automatic. Dopamine and the habit cycle. At the heart of habits lies dopamine, the brain's anticipation chemical. Importantly, dopamine spikes not only when we receive a reward, but when we anticipate it. That's why cravings are so powerful. The notification ping triggers dopamine before we even see the message. The smell of coffee in the morning sparks dopamine before the first sip. This mechanism explains both good and bad habits. The same system that makes you crave a cigarette also helps you crave the sense of calm after meditation. Why habits stick or don't. Consistency, repetition in the same context, strengthens neural pathways. Missing once is harmless. Missing repeatedly weakens the loop. Emotion. The stronger the emotion tied to a habit, stress relief, joy, pride, the faster it forms. Environment, context cues are powerful. That's why many people associate movie theaters with popcorn or mornings with coffee. Habits thrive in stable environments, but struggle when cues are inconsistent. Changing habits. The golden rule. To change a habit, you don't erase the old loop, you reshape it. Replace the routine while keeping the same cue and reward. For example, cue, stress at work. Old routine, smoking a cigarette. New routine, taking a 5-minute walk. Reward, relief and calm. The cue still triggers the loop, but the routine becomes healthier. The power of awareness. Most people live unaware of their habit loops. The first step to change is noticing them. Keep a habit journal for a week. Track triggers, routines, and rewards. Awareness shines light on the invisible architecture running your life. From science to practice. Understanding habits at a biological level liberates us from the myth of willpower. It's not about being strong enough to fight bad habits every time. It's about designing better loops. Habits are not destiny. They are patterns, and patterns can be rewritten. Patience and persistence are required, but the science is clear. Habits are the most reliable way to change behavior. When we master them, we are no longer at the mercy of motivation. We are guided by the quiet strength of systems. Chapter 2. Small versus big why tiny changes last longer than giant leaps. When people decide to change their lives, they usually think big. Big goals, big resolutions, big promises. I will lose 20 kilograms. I will run every morning. I will stop eating sugar completely. Big goals feel exciting at the start, but they often collapse within weeks. Why? Because the brain resists drastic change. Tiny changes, by contrast, slip under the brain's radar. They feel so small, so doable, that resistance never kicks in. And once repeated, these small steps compound into lasting transformation. The psychology of big goals. Big goals create big pressure. They demand huge willpower reserves, which are finite. Motivation burns hot but fades quickly, leaving guilt and self-doubt in its place. Big change feels intimidating. Procrastination follows. Failure feels heavier. One missed workout means the whole plan feels ruined. Perfectionism takes over. If you can't do it perfectly, you quit altogether. That is why gyms are crowded in January but empty by March. Why small habits work. Small habits succeed because they 1. Feel effortless. Doing one push-up or writing one sentence requires almost no willpower. 2. Create momentum, Small wins build confidence and identity. I am the kind of person who shows up. 3. Lower resistance. The brain doesn't fight small actions, it embraces them. 4. Compound over time. A tiny step today becomes a staircase tomorrow. As author James Clear wrote, habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. The math of small, consider this. Improving by just 1% each day doesn't feel like much. But after 1 year, that tiny gain compounds to nearly 37 times better. On the other hand, letting yourself decline 1% daily leads to almost nothing left. Small changes, consistently applied, always outpace unsustainable big leaps. Stories of small becoming big. Health. A man started with 1 push-up per day. Within a year, he was exercising daily and had lost 20 kilograms. Writing. A writer committed to 1 sentence a day. 2 years later, he had a finished manuscript. Finance. Saving just $5 a day turns into nearly $2,000 a year, and even more with compound interest. The common thread? None started with huge goals. They started with small habits that grew naturally. The mindset shift. Instead of asking, "What big change do I want?" ask, "What tiny habit can I start today that aligns with who I want to become?" What is the smallest action I can sustain, even on my worst day? It might be 1 glass of water, 1 line in a journal, 1 deep breath before replying. Over time, these tiny steps reshape identity and unlock transformation. The secret: consistency beats intensity. Big goals depend on intensity. Short bursts of effort. Small habits depend on consistency. Showing up daily. And in the marathon of life, consistency always wins. True change does not come from giant leaps that exhaust us, but from tiny steps that we can carry for a lifetime. Small is not weak. Small is powerful, because small, done daily, becomes unstoppable. Chapter 3. The Compound Effect. How small actions accumulate over time. If you've ever watched a drop of water wear down a stone, you've seen the compound effect in action. 1 drop seems meaningless, but thousands of drops, falling steadily, reshape even the hardest surface. Habits work the same way. Small, consistent actions may feel invisible in the moment, but over time, they transform everything. The hidden power of compounding. The human mind struggles to grasp exponential growth. We overestimate what we can do in a week, but underestimate what we can achieve in a year. Small habits harness this principle. Progress feels slow at first, then accelerates dramatically. Read 10 pages a day, 3,750 pages in a year, 12 and 15 books. Save $3 a day, 1,000 plus in a year, tens of thousands over a decade with interest. Walk 15 minutes a day, 91 hours of movement a year. Improved energy, health, and mood. Tiny actions don't just add up. They multiply. Why we miss the effect. One reason people abandon habits is that the early rewards are invisible. Going to the gym once doesn't change your body. Meditating once doesn't cure stress. Writing once doesn't produce a book. This valley of disappointment tricks us into thinking small efforts don't matter. But beneath the surface, compounding is at work. Muscles strengthen, neurons rewire, words accumulate. All quietly until one day the results become visible and undeniable. Compound interest for the mind. Financial compounding is easy to measure, but habits create a kind of psychological compound interest. Each healthy choice makes the next one easier. Each act of focus strengthens concentration. Each moment of kindness softens the heart for more kindness. Like money, habits pay dividends the longer you hold them. The double-edged sword, compounding, works both ways. Positive compounding. Daily gratitude leads to optimism, stronger relationships, and resilience. Negative compounding. Daily procrastination leads to clutter, stress, and missed opportunities. Every small action is a vote toward one direction or the other. The long-term lens. When you commit to small habits, you stop asking, "What did I gain today?" and start asking, "Who am I becoming over time?" With patience, the compound effect becomes unstoppable. Practical ways to harness the compound effect. 1. Track streaks. Even a check mark on a calendar reinforces momentum. 2. Think in years, not days. Ask, what will this habit give me if I sustain it for 3 years? 3. Celebrate invisible wins. Acknowledge that consistency itself is victory. 4. Guard small slips. Missing once is normal. Missing repeatedly weakens compounding. The compound effect teaches us the greatest truth about habits. Small actions are never wasted. Every repetition is an investment, and over time the return is extraordinary. Small is powerful because time amplifies it. Today's drop of water may feel insignificant, but tomorrow it becomes a river that reshapes the landscape of your life. Chapter 4. Identity and Habits. Becoming who you want to be through daily choices. Most people try to change their lives by focusing on outcomes. Lose weight, earn more, finish a project. But outcomes are not the deepest level of change. True transformation happens when we shift identity, when we stop asking, "What do I want to achieve?" and start asking, "Who do I want to become?" Habits are not just actions. They are votes for identity. The 3 layers of change. Author James Clear describes 3 layers of change. 1. Outcomes, what you want. Results, weight loss, promotion, money. 2. Processes, what you do. Exercise, study, budget. 3. Identity, who you believe you are. A healthy person, a learner, a disciplined steward. Most people focus on outcomes, but lasting habits are anchored in identity. When you see yourself differently, action follows naturally. Why identity matters. If you identify as someone who hates exercise, every workout feels like a battle. If you see yourself as a healthy person, working out feels natural, even necessary. Saying, "I'm trying to quit smoking," reinforces identity as a smoker. Saying, "I'm not a smoker," anchors identity in freedom. Identity shapes behavior more powerfully than goals. Small habits. As identity builders, every time you perform a small habit, you cast a vote for a new identity. Reading 1 page, Shanachakar, vote for being a reader. Saving $1, vote for being financially responsible. Meditating 2 minutes, vote for being mindful. Saying thank you, vote for being grateful. 1 vote doesn't make you that person, but the more votes you cast, the more the identity takes root. Eventually, your habits and your sense of self align. Breaking old identities. Bad habits are often tied to outdated identities. I'm always late. I'm bad with money. I can't focus. These are not truths, but stories repeated until believed. To change, we must write new stories and let habits prove them. Practical steps to identity-based habits. Decide who you want to become. Write a statement. I want to be the kind of person who. 2. Start small. Choose habits that align with that identity. 3. Use evidence. Let every repetition serve as proof. 4. Celebrate alignment. Acknowledge when your actions reflect your chosen identity. Identity as a lifelong process. Identity is not static. It is always being shaped by choices. The question is whether you shape it consciously or let it drift unconsciously. Habits give you the steering wheel. Changing outcomes changes your life for a moment. Changing identity changes your life for good. And identity is built not in grand declarations, but in the quiet repetition of small habits. Every small choice whispers, "This is who I am." And over time, those whispers become your truth. Chapter 5. Start tiny, grow steady, scaling small into something great. We often think the path to greatness requires bold beginnings. But the truth is, most lasting transformations start almost laughably small. The secret of small habits is not just their ease, but their ability to grow quietly, steadily, and powerfully into something far greater than we first imagined. Why tiny is powerful. The brain resists drastic change. Big resolutions trigger fear, self-doubt, and procrastination. Tiny actions, however, feel safe. They slip beneath the radar of resistance. One push-up is too small to fail. One sentence is too easy to skip. 1 minute of meditation feels effortless. The point is not to stop at tiny. The point is to start there, then let momentum do the rest. The power of momentum action creates motivation, not the other way around. When you start small, you generate momentum. One push-up often leads to 5. One sentence often grows into a paragraph. 1 minute of meditation often stretches into 10. By starting tiny, you remove the hardest part, getting started. The mathematics of scaling. Consider the 2-minute rule. Any habit should begin with a version that takes 2 minutes or less. Run every morning. Put on running shoes. Read more books. Read 1 page. Eat healthier. Add 1 vegetable to my plate. Once the ritual is established, it expands naturally. Starting small doesn't limit growth. It enables it. Stories of tiny to transformative. B.J. Fogg's flossing habit. He began by flossing just 1 tooth. Over time, it became a full routine. Writers who commit to 1 sentence a day often find themselves finishing chapters. Language learners who start with 1 new word a day eventually build fluency. Greatness rarely begins with grand gestures. It begins with humble, consistent beginnings. Practical ways to grow steady. 1. Shrink the habit until it feels too easy. If it feels intimidating, make it smaller. 2. Anchor it to an existing routine. After I brush my teeth, I'll do 1 push-up. 3. Allow natural expansion. Don't force growth. Let it happen when momentum builds. 4. Measure consistency, not size. Celebrate showing up, not how much you did. 5. Trust the timeline. Habits grow like trees, slowly at first, then all at once. The patience of scaling small beginnings test our ego. We want quick proof, dramatic results. But the wisdom of small habits is this. They demand humility, faith, and patience. They ask us to trust that steady growth outlasts sudden bursts. Tiny habits are not trivial. They are seeds. And just as a seed contains the potential for a forest, a single small habit contains the potential for transformation. Start tiny. Grow steady. And one day, you will look back and realize the small beginning became something great. Chapter 6. Habit triggers and environment designing cues that work for you. Habits don't exist in isolation. They are anchored to cues, small signals in our environment that tell the brain it's time to act. By learning to design triggers and shape our surroundings, we can make good habits easier and bad habits harder. The power of cues. Every habit begins with a trigger. You feel tired, so you make coffee. You hear a notification, so you check your phone. You see running shoes by the door, so you go for a jog. Our environment constantly nudges us toward behaviors, whether we notice it or not. By taking control of those cues, we stop relying on willpower and start relying on design. The ABCs of triggers: 1. Anchor. Attach a new habit to an existing one. After I brush my teeth, I'll floss one tooth. 2. Behavioral cues. Use specific actions as triggers. When I sit at my desk, I'll write one sentence. 3. Context cues. Shape your environment to spark habits. Place fruit on the counter, hide the cookies. Environment shapes behavior. Psychologists estimate that context drives nearly half of our daily actions. Want to eat healthier? Don't just rely on self-control. Stock your fridge with nutritious food. Want to scroll less? Remove distracting apps from your home screen. The environment whispers louder than motivation. The inverse rule: make it easy, make it hard. For good habits, make them obvious, easy, and convenient. Lay out workout clothes the night before. Keep a book on your pillow to trigger bedtime reading. Place a water bottle on your desk. For bad habits, make them invisible, difficult, and inconvenient. Hide the TV remote in another room. Store junk food out of sight. Turn off notifications during focus time. Small changes in context often matter more than willpower. Examples in action. Health. Want to walk more? Put your shoes by the door. Learning. Want to practice guitar? Keep it on a stand, not in the closet. Productivity. Want to write daily? Keep a notebook open on your desk. When the cue is obvious, the habit feels natural. Practical design steps. 1. Audit your environment. What cues trigger good habits? Which ones trigger bad? 2. Add positive friction. Make bad habits harder. Add steps between you and the behavior. 3. Remove negative cues. Out of sight, out of mind. 4. Stack habits. Pair a new behavior with an existing routine. 5. Reward the cue. When the trigger leads to positive outcomes, the loop strengthens. Willpower versus design. Willpower is fragile, but environment is stable. By shaping our surroundings, we make the right choice, the easy choice. This is not about discipline, it's about design. Habits don't fail because we are weak. They fail because our environments are loud with the wrong cues. When we take charge of those signals, we align the world around us with the person we want to become. Change your cues, and your habits will follow. Chapter 7. Emotion and Reward. Making habits. Stick with feelings, not just logic. Most of us assume that habits are built on discipline and logic. I know this is good for me, therefore I should do it. But the brain doesn't work that way. Habits don't stick because they are rational. They stick because they are rewarding. And rewards are always emotional. Why emotion matters. The human brain is wired for survival. Long before logic evolved, our nervous system learned to repeat behaviors that felt good and avoid those that felt bad. That wiring is still in place. When you eat sweet food, dopamine is released. When someone likes your post, dopamine spikes. When you finish a task, you feel satisfaction. This emotional feedback is what makes habits automatic. If a habit feels rewarding, the brain remembers it. If it feels punishing, the brain resists it. The habit loop revisited: cue, routine, reward. The reward is the most important part because it teaches the brain, this is worth repeating. Without an emotional reward, even the healthiest habit feels like a chore. With a reward, even difficult habits become sticky. How to make habits emotionally rewarding. 1. Celebrate small wins. Smile, pump your fist, or say, "Yes, I did it," right after completing a habit. Tiny celebrations signal the brain that the behavior is valuable. 2. Pair with pleasure. Listen to music while exercising. Drink your favorite tea while journaling. Make the process enjoyable. 3. Track progress visually. Habit trackers, streak apps, or even a simple calendar checkmark create a mini dopamine hit. 4. Link to identity pride. Remind yourself, I am a person who follows through. Pride is a powerful emotional reward. 5. Use immediate rewards. The brain values short-term feedback more than distant benefits. Reward yourself in the moment, not just someday. The danger of negative rewards. Not all rewards serve us well. Junk food, scrolling, gambling, these behaviors are sticky precisely because they deliver quick dopamine hits. To counter them, we must design alternative habits that deliver positive rewards without destructive costs. For example, replace late-night snacking with herbal tea and calming music. Replace phone scrolling with a short walk or a quick call to a friend. The key is not to remove rewards, but to replace them with healthier ones. Stories of reward in action. Exercise. A man hated running until he paired it with listening to audiobooks he loved. Soon, he looked forward to workouts. Studying. A student rewarded herself with a sticker for every 25 minutes of focused work. Simple, but effective. Meditation. Someone who struggled to sit still began with 1 minute of mindful breathing, ending with gratitude. The pleasant emotion made it stick. Emotion as the fuel of habits. Logic starts a habit. Emotion sustains it. Without emotional reward, habits dry up. With it, they thrive. Habits are not built on willpower alone. They are built on feelings. If you want habits to last, don't just make them possible. Make them pleasurable. Don't just think about the logic. Feel the reward. Because in the end, we don't repeat what we should do. We repeat what feels good to do. Chapter 8. Breaking Bad Habits. Replacing destructive cycles with constructive ones. Bad habits are sticky for a reason. They work. At least in the short term, they provide relief, comfort, or distraction. Scrolling on the phone soothes boredom. Smoking calms nerves. Junk food comforts stress. The problem is not that these habits fail. It's that their success is temporary, and the long-term costs outweigh the short-term benefits. Mindfulness and small changes give us the power to break these cycles. We don't fight bad habits by sheer willpower alone. We replace them with healthier ones that serve the same need in a better way. Why bad habits stick. Every habit is a solution to a problem. Stress, cigarette, alcohol, or comfort food. Boredom, social media, video games, or endless snacking. Loneliness, shopping, gossip, or overworking. The cue, stress, boredom, loneliness, and the reward, relief, pleasure, connection, are not wrong. What needs changing is the routine between them. The golden rule of habit change. Keep the cue, keep the reward, change the routine. Cue, I feel stressed. Oh, old routine, eating junk food. Oh, new routine, Taking a short walk or deep breathing. O, reward, relief and calm. Q, I'm bored. O, old routine, scrolling social media for an hour. O, new routine, reading 2 pages of a book, calling a friend, or journaling. O, reward, stimulation and engagement. By swapping routines, we satisfy the same need in a healthier way. The role of friction habits, good or bad, follow the path of least resistance. To weaken a bad habit, add friction. Hide the snacks, log out of social media, move the TV remote. To strengthen a good habit, remove friction. Keep fruit on the counter, place books by your bed, put running shoes near the door. A tiny bit of friction can mean the difference between automatic indulgence and intentional choice. Self-compassion over shame. One of the biggest traps in breaking bad habits is self-judgment. I failed again. I'm weak. Shame fuels the very stress that triggers relapse. Instead, practice compassion. I slipped, but I can begin again now. Every attempt weakens the old pathway and strengthens the new one. Habit change is not a straight line, but a gradual rewiring of the brain. Practical steps for replacing bad habits. 1. Identify the trigger. When and where does the habit happen? What emotion sparks it? 2. Define the reward. What do you actually gain? Comfort, relief, stimulation, connection? 3. Design a substitute. Choose a small, healthier action that gives a similar reward. 4. Add friction. Make the bad habit harder and the good one easier. 5. Track and celebrate progress. Every small win is proof that you are changing. From destructive to constructive. Imagine if every time stress hit, instead of smoking, you breathed deeply. Instead of doom scrolling, you read a few pages. Instead of gossiping, you expressed gratitude. Slowly, destructive cycles would transform into constructive ones, and your life would begin to move in a different direction. Breaking bad habits is not about punishment. It is about replacement. It is about designing better responses to life's challenges. When we shift even one destructive loop into a constructive one, we don't just break a habit, we build a new future. Chapter 9. Health Habits. Energy, sleep, movement, and food. Your health is the foundation of every other habit. Without energy, focus collapses. Without rest, discipline fades. Without care for the body, even the strongest intentions crumble. Building small health habits is not about chasing perfection. It is about creating a body and mind that support the life you want to live. Energy is built, not found. Most people think energy is something you either have or don't have. In reality, energy is the result of daily choices. Drinking a glass of water in the morning. Taking a short walk after lunch. Pausing to stretch during work. Each choice is small, but together they build a reservoir of vitality. Sleep, the hidden superpower. We live in a culture that treats sleep as optional, yet sleep is the body's repair system, the mind's reset button, the foundation of resilience. Research shows that even one night of poor sleep impairs focus, mood, and decision-making. Small sleep habits make a big difference. Turn off screens 30 minutes before bed. Dim the lights in the evening to signal rest. Keep a consistent bedtime, even if only 15 minutes earlier. Better sleep doesn't just give more rest, it gives more life. Movement as medicine. You don't need marathons or heavy workouts to benefit from movement. The human body is designed to move frequently in small bursts. One push-up is a start. A 5-minute walk after meals aids digestion and lowers stress. Stretching while waiting for coffee wakes up muscles and joints. Small, regular movements compound into strength, flexibility, and resilience. Food as fuel. Food is not only calories, it is information for the body. Every bite sends signals that affect energy, hormones, and health. You don't need a radical diet. You need small, sustainable shifts. Add one vegetable to your plate. Swap one soda for water. Pack a healthy snack to avoid vending machine choices. Tiny nutritional upgrades, repeated daily, create a body that feels lighter, clearer, and stronger. Why health habits? Stick health habits are most effective when they are 1. Simple, small enough to do even on your worst day. 2. Enjoyable, paired with something you like. Music, sunlight, gratitude. 3. Stacked, attached to existing routines. Water after brushing teeth, stretching after shutting down your laptop. The ripple effect of health. Improving health habits multiplies benefits. More energy, better focus at work. Better sleep, more patience in relationships. Better movement and nutrition, greater resilience against stress. When health improves, every other habit becomes easier. Small steps, strong foundation. You don't need to overhaul your health overnight. Begin with the smallest steps. 1 glass of water, 1 extra hour of sleep, 1 walk, 1 better meal. Over time, these steps compound into a strong foundation for a life of energy, focus, and joy. Health is not a side project. It is the platform on which everything else stands. Build it with small, steady habits, and you will create a body and mind ready for every challenge and opportunity ahead. Chapter 10. Focus habits, protecting attention in a distracted world. In today's world, attention is under siege. Notifications, emails, endless feeds, and the constant pull of multitasking fragment the mind. We live in an economy that monetizes distraction, and the cost is our focus, our creativity, and our peace of mind. But focus is not gone. It can be rebuilt. Like a muscle, attention strengthens through small, deliberate habits. Protecting focus is no longer optional. It is essential for living with clarity and purpose. The true cost of distraction. Every time the mind is pulled away, it takes minutes to refocus. Studies show that constant switching lowers productivity, weakens memory, and increases stress. Distraction doesn't just waste time, it erodes the quality of life. Why focus feels hard. The brain is wired for novelty. Each notification, each scroll offers a hit of dopamine. Over time, we become addicted to stimulation, mistaking busyness for productivity. Focus habits are about retraining the brain, teaching it to stay steady in a world designed to pull it away. Small habits for sharper. Focus 1. The 2-minute start. Begin with 2 minutes of full concentration on one task. Build the muscle of starting. 2. Focus blocks. Protect short periods, 15 to 25 minutes, for deep work, then rest. 3. Mindful triggers. Light a candle, wear headphones, or close the door to signal focus time. 4. Single tasking. Finish one thing fully before moving to the next. 5. Daily digital detox. Choose 1 hour daily without screens to reset attention. Creating a focus-friendly environment. Remove distractions. Silence notifications. Block distracting websites. Put the phone in another room. Prepare your space. A clean desk signals clarity. Add friction to distraction. Log out of apps. Keep tempting sites behind extra steps. Environment shapes focus more powerfully than willpower. The reward of focus. When attention steadies, productivity rises, but so does peace. Focus gives more than results. It gives presence. A focused mind feels lighter, calmer, and more creative. The long-term impact. At work, better decisions, deeper problem-solving. At home, more present conversations, stronger relationships. In life, greater ability to create, reflect, and grow. Focus habits are not just about achieving goals. They are about reclaiming life from distraction. A new way of living focus is not about doing more. It is about doing with intention. When we protect our attention, we protect our most precious resource, the ability to live fully in this moment, to create meaning, and to give our best to what matters most. Small focus habits may seem minor. One distraction-free block, one deep breath before shifting tasks, one moment of silence before speaking. But together, they build a fortress of clarity in a world of noise. To guard your focus is to guard your life. Chapter 11. Resilience in Habits. Restarting after failure and staying consistent. No habit journey is perfect. You will miss days. You will break streaks. You will forget, get tired, or lose motivation. This is not failure. It is life. The true test of habits is not perfection, but resilience. The ability to begin again, no matter how many times you slip. The myth of perfection. Many people abandon habits because they believe missing once means they have failed. I skipped the gym, so I've ruined my streak. I ate junk food, so my diet is broken. But missing once is not the end. Missing once is part of the process. The danger is not in missing, it's in quitting. The 2 rules of habit resilience. 1. Never miss twice. Missing once is human. Missing twice creates momentum in the wrong direction. If you skip today, recommit tomorrow. 2. Restart small. When you fall off, return to the tiniest version of the habit. 1 push-up, 1 sentence, 1 glass of water. Restarting small removes shame and rebuilds momentum. Reframing failure as feedback. Instead of asking, "Why did I fail?" ask, "What did I learn?" Was the habit too ambitious? Was the cue unclear? Was the reward too weak? Each slip provides information to redesign the habit more sustainably. Building emotional resilience. Practice self-compassion. Instead of harsh self-talk, remind yourself, it's okay to begin again. Be flexible. Habits may need adjusting when life circumstances shift, a new job, a move, or parenthood. Think long-term. Habits are not short sprints. They are lifelong companions. One slip is negligible in the scope of years. Identity as anchor. When routines falter, identity sustains you. Even if you skip a workout, remind yourself, I am a person who cares for my health. Even if you forget to journal, repeat, I am a writer. Identity carries you back to the practice. Practical resilience practices. Keep a restart ritual, a specific way to begin again, like a Monday reset or morning reflection. Celebrate the act of returning, not just the streak. Track days restarted as proudly as days maintained. From fragile to anti-fragile, fragile habits break under pressure. Resilient habits bend and recover. Anti-fragile habits grow stronger through setbacks because each restart deepens commitment. Consistency is not about never failing. It is about never giving up. The power of small habits lies not in perfect execution, but in persistence. Each time you begin again, you prove to yourself, I am still on the path. And in the long run, resilience is what turns small steps into lasting change. Chapter 12. Legacy Habits, Passing Habits of Strength to Future Generations. Habits are never just personal. They ripple outward, shaping families, friendships, workplaces, and even cultures. The way you live daily, the choices you make, the patterns you repeat, becomes part of your legacy. Long after your words are forgotten, your habits live on in those who watched you live. Habits as silent teachers. Children, colleagues, and friends rarely learn from what we say. They learn from what we do. A parent who reads daily plants the seed of curiosity. A leader who pauses before reacting teaches patience. A friend who listens deeply models compassion. Your habits silently write lessons into the lives of others. The generational ripple. Health habits, cooking nourishing meals, exercising regularly, or prioritizing rest show future generations that self-care is strength, not selfishness. Financial habits, saving consistently, spending mindfully, and practicing generosity ripple across decades. Emotional habits, responding with calm instead of rage, gratitude instead of entitlement, resilience instead of despair. These shape how others meet their own challenges. Every small habit you practice is a message about what matters. Creating a culture of habits communities are built on shared behaviors. Simple acts, greeting neighbors with kindness, practicing patience in lines, showing respect in conversations, accumulate into culture. A mindful community is simply the result of many individuals choosing mindful habits. Designing your legacy. Ask yourself, what habits do I want to be remembered for? What example am I setting through my daily routines? What seeds am I planting in those who look up to me? Legacy is not created in dramatic moments. It is built in the quiet repetition of daily choices. The power of small in legacy. It may feel as though small habits affect only you, but over time, they shape the character of those around you. One daily act of gratitude may spark thankfulness in your children. One steady practice of kindness may soften the culture of your workplace. One resilient response to hardship may inspire courage in generations to come. Your habits are not just about your goals. They are about your gift to the world. By living small habits faithfully, you pass on strength, wisdom, and resilience far beyond your lifetime. Epilogue: small steps, lasting change. We often dream of big transformations. A new career, a healthier body, a calmer mind, a more meaningful life. We imagine that change will arrive in a single dramatic moment, a breakthrough, a resolution, a leap of faith. But life rarely changes that way. Real change comes quietly. It comes in the smallest choices repeated consistently. It comes in the extra glass of water, the one mindful breath, the single page read before bed. These choices don't feel like much in the moment, but together they shape who we become. The truth about small steps: they are doable, too small to fail. They are repeatable, easy to sustain day after day. They are transformative, compounding into results bigger than we ever imagined. The magic is not in intensity, but in consistency. One step may seem insignificant, but thousands of small steps build a path toward lasting transformation. Progress over perfection. You will stumble. You will miss days. You will forget, get distracted, or fall back into old patterns. That is not failure. It is being human. What matters is not that you never fall, but that you always rise again, even if it's with the tiniest action. Small steps forgive mistakes because you can always begin again. The legacy of habits. Your habits are more than routines. They are the story of your life, written day by day. And your story influences others, your children, your colleagues, your community. Each small habit is a seed planted, not just for yourself, but for generations to come. The invitations start where you are. Don't wait for the perfect plan or the perfect moment. Take the smallest step you can today. Drink the glass of water. Write the one sentence. Breathe the mindful breath. Because one small step, repeated, becomes a rhythm. That rhythm becomes a pattern. That pattern becomes a life. Small habits are not small. They are the quiet architects of who we become. When practiced with patience and persistence, they build a change that does not fade but lasts, because it is woven into the fabric of everyday living. So take a step, a small one, and trust that it is enough to begin.